感谢刚才王长老给我们带来的那个分享哦。其实王长老昨天跟我在一起吃一点宵夜的时候，我们在吃虱目鱼肉的时候，他就跟我讲说，台湾关系法真的很多误解，然后也有很多人对于他们当时在起草的这些人的心思上面的误解。那我相信大家刚才听完他的演说之后呢，对于当时起草这些国会议员的苦心呢，有更加的了解。那接下来我想要介绍另外一部也是我们这个台北人非常熟悉的人物，昆布老先生，他是台湾人公共关系会的执行长，那就是 for Muslim Association for Public Relations。很多人不太知道说，FAPR 在做什么 ，FAPR 在做什么。其实呢，我们所谓国民外交跟在国会游说的最前线呢，就是由我们这位昆布老先生来领军，来让我们台北人知道怎么样去国会作为这个积极的外交交流。那接下来我想请大家用掌声来欢迎我们的昆布老先生。
Dzień dobry. So yes, thanks Ken for inviting me. Mr. Lee, thank you also. Great to see some old friends. Does it work?
Yes.
Nick Wu, our standing committee member. Applause for Nick. Mrs. Wu. Josephine and Thomas, and then Lynn in the back. Who else did I see? Tim Wong here from the Formosan Association for Human Rights. Did I forget anybody? I don't think so. All right. So yes, where's the clip? Oh. Let me, so Wang Mingxiang, thank you very much for speaking, for a good presentation. I didn't understand it, but so in order not to replicate or duplicate what Wang Mingxiang said, I'm also going to weave in a couple of other issues. This is a young me, 30 years ago, with Al Gore. Yeah. See the difference, 30 years difference and 30 pounds. That was in 1989, and I was at a senatorial campaign committee event in my first month with FAPA. I started in August, and this was in September 1989, 30 years ago. So I've been with FAPA 30 years. And so I didn't know anybody, and so I went to the security guard at this party, and I said, are there any famous people in the room? And he said, yeah, that guy ran for president. And so I stepped up to him and I said, Mr. Gebhardt, Dick Gebhardt, can I take a photo? And we took a photo, and then he said, by the way, I'm Al Gore. So I was wrong. Yeah, so my name is Coen Blaauw. I'm from Holland, Amsterdam. In Holland, Coen Blaauw is a very powerful name. Coen means brave in Holland. And Blaauw means blue. We like to call it blue. But in Taiwanese, it's not a very powerful name. I understand that Coen means sleep, right? And Blaauw means never get old. So brave blue, always sleeps, never get old. But easy to remember, I think. Also, a question Taiwan Kiasai. My wife is from Taiwan. Yeah. She's from Bangka. They're all gangsters, my family. You're from Bangka too? Oh, yeah? Okay. And she always tells me, and I just came back last Sunday from Taipei. I spoke there at the FAPA big lunch. And I flew back over Haneda, Tokyo, DC, and then I realized, and as my wife says that, and I think it's true, that in the United States, people drive on the right side of the street. In Japan, on the left.
Yeah.
and Taiwan both sides. Is that true? Is that still true? Not anymore? Oh, not anymore. And yes, so I'm from Holland, and if people ask me, say, why do you work for FAPA, for Taiwan independence, so long, for 30 years? I always say, depends a little bit on the situation, but sometimes I say, so that I can do something in return for what my ancestors did in umping Taiwan to the Taiwanese people, to pay back. But sometimes also I say, it's because I want to reunify Holland with Taiwan. And if the Chinese can claim that, we have a better claim. Yeah. Exactly. And I've been with Papa so long that people sometimes think that my first name is Papa. They call me and say, are you Coen Blaauw? I say, no. But I've been so long, so now people think I am Papa. And so, yeah, let me first say a few words about FAPA, because I'm really very proud. I've been with FAPA 10 years, and as Ken explained, for 20 years with the Formosan Association for Public Relations. It's a different tax entity, so enabling me to lobby more, because I do 100% of my time Capitol Hill work, and FAPA can only do 20% of its time. And so that's why we established FAPA, but we're in the same office, and FAPA pays rent to FAPA, et cetera, et cetera. So 3 reasons why FAPA is so successful. We're a very small organization. We only have 4 staff in the office, and 3 of them have been with FAPA little, not as, only about a year, less than a year. And also I'm the only one who has been 30 years, and the other 3 have been with FAPA less than a year, but still we're super successful. And the reason why we are successful, I would say, is that we have a really good product to sell. We put the product of Taiwan independence and wrap it up in shiny piece of paper called American values: freedom, human rights, democracy, self-determination. So when I go to a member of Congress or a staff, I've never met a member of Congress who says, I don't support freedom, human rights, self-determination, democracy. So there's unanimous support for Taiwan on Capitol Hill. But it's our challenge to bring it out to the surface. Second reason is that we're a grassroots organization. We all know what that means. We have 33,000 families all over the United States who are all promoting and working for Taiwan independence. TECRO is gone now, right? Because everybody from TECRO gone, so we can speak a little bit more freely. The ambassador's gone and the other woman's gone, right? You're not TECRO, right? Anybody from TECRO here? No. Okay, okay, so TECRO has about 25 lobbyists. We have only 1 lobbyist, and Wu Di, you know Wu Di, right? Wu Jiaoshei's son. Wu Jiaoshei, the foreign minister, he works with FAPA now for a year. So we're very proud of that. And so there's 25 lobbyists. We have 1, 2, 1.5 lobbyists. And we can do more and better. We like to rock the boat. And we can do that because we're an American organization. The State Department will not complain to us or the Defense Department if we do something, because we're an American organization. The State Department complains to TECRO. Don't tell anybody, okay? And so we can do whatever we want to, and that's why we're so successful. And that's why we can do edgier stuff than TECRO can do. So research was done a couple of years ago, and it says that FAPA is the 5th most successful ethnic lobby on Capitol Hill out of 76 countries. That's ridiculous. Israel, of course, is number 1, but FAPA is the number 5 out of 76 groups with a limited budget, limited staff. So if you're a FAPA member, give yourself a hand. Amazing. And last is that we are an unselfish lobby. meaning we don't do this to become rich or famous. We do this for our ama, akong, and baga. That's why I do it. And so if you ask me, say, how, with these three reasons, I always say that the future of Taiwan stands on two pillars, stands on two legs. The one leg is US support. Some of my friends even say that the future of Taiwan will be determined on Capitol Hill. Think about that. And FAPA really contributes to making sure that Taiwan will not be sold out to China. And I will show that in a slide, and why I will explain to you why that will not, while the United States, I believe, will never be giving out Taiwan to China. Second reason, second pillar of Taiwan's future is the will and wish of the people of Taiwan to keep Taiwan free, to keep Taiwan independent. Maybe even transfer it into de jure internationally recognized independence. And I never worried about the US support leg, but I worried about the will and wish of the people of Taiwan. How about you?
Yeah.
Until the sunflowers came by in 1994. So that really encouraged me in the view that obviously the youngsters in Taiwan demonstrated to the Taiwanese people that there is something you can do if you're not happy with what your government is doing to you. So we will never hear from the sunflowers again. I always feel that that contribution is very important and is critical to the mindset of the people of Taiwan today. So I think that was a turning point. So a few words about the Taiwan Relations Act. Coming Wednesday, April 10th, 40 years ago, the Taiwan Relations Act was enacted, was signed into law. And we always say at FAPA, and we started this in 2016, that today, US-Taiwan relations are the cornerstone, or the Taiwan Relations Act, and President Reagan's 6 assurances. We all know that, President Reagan's 6 assurances, so let me explain it. Have you heard about it? No. Okay, so up till recently, US-Taiwan relations are determined by the Taiwan Relations Act and the 3 communiques. We know the 3 communiques, the Sino-American communiques in the 70s and the 80s, which hold the one China policy, which we hate. We hate the one China policy. And so FAPA in 2016 passed legislation saying, no, forget about the 3 communiques, forget about the one China policy, the Taiwan Relations Act, and President Reagan's 6 assurances, in which he said we will continue to sell arms to Taiwan, we will this commitment to Taiwan. These are the cornerstone of US-Taiwan relations. And so more and more people are not talking anymore about the one China policy and about the 6 assurances, and about the 3 communiques. So together with President Reagan's 6 assurances, the Taiwan Relations Act today is the cornerstone of US-Taiwan relations and serves as an anchor for peace and security in the Western Pacific. I have a little bit different view about the importance and the great gift that the Taiwan Relations Act supposedly was. We all think that the Taiwan Relations Act was the best gift ever from the United States to the people of Taiwan. But I like to tell you, and I like to illustrate that with these maps, that the Taiwan Relations Act was largely a means for the United States to make sure Taiwan didn't fall into Chinese hands. I'm not sure if Wang Yingshan talked about that already, but TRA, the Foreign Relations Act, was primarily a way to keep Taiwan free and to keep Taiwan as a United States asset. Look at this map. No secret that China wants to build its use in its whole East Coast, put aircraft carriers and submarines there. But as you can see, the East Coast of China is very shallow. There's no space to put a submarine without the United States seeing it. But as you can see, the East Coast of Taiwan, the seabed dives down vertically. And William Stanton, who is the former AIT director, American Institute in Taiwan director in Taipei, he said, China does not want Taiwan for what it is, but for where it is. And imagine if this whole east coast of Taiwan in Hualien, if there would be 5 aircraft carriers and 100 submarines, that would be a disaster for Hawaii, Guam, Saipan, Japan. And so it's my belief that the United States will never give up Taiwan primarily for that reason. Because if there would be a whole fleet there, PLA fleet, then Hawaii needs to build its own 12th fleet or 13th fleet just to keep China away. But as long as Taiwan stays free and not becomes part of China, then the United States doesn't need to spend billions and billions of dollars to fortify Pearl Harbor and Hawaii and Guam. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Everybody? Next slide, please. Another reason why we need to keep Taiwan free. And I was China fan. Of course, this is the marine vessel traffic in the Taiwan Strait, which is today international waters. Your Japanese tankers, Korean cargo ships, the 7th Fleet hides in the Taiwan Strait whenever necessary. And imagine if Taiwan becomes part of China, then China can say no Japanese ships today, no Koreans, no Americans, no European ships. And so it's the international community, especially financial interest, to keep Taiwan free and to keep this Taiwan Strait free as well, international waters. Next slide, Ken. These are the submarine communication cables. And a friend of mine who works for Japanese communication cable companies gave me this slide. And you see that all these cables here are on the east side of Taiwan. You know, the undersea internet cables. And imagine if Taiwan becomes part of China, then all these cables here are in China's territorial waters. And so my friend who works for this Japanese, an executive in the Japanese cable company, he said, we will never allow Taiwan to become part of China. Because China can say, if they own Taiwan, they will cut off the cables, they will block the cables, they will shut off the cables. If they're unhappy with the United States, if they're working on a trade deal with the United States for leverage, if they argue with Japan. So 3 reasons why I believe the United States and maybe the rest of the world cannot afford to let Taiwan become part of China. Good news, yes?
Yeah.
And so I think it's, hang on one second with the next slide. But so people always ask me, hang on. The next slide is a little bit funny, but people always ask me, why doesn't the United States commit to Taiwan more strongly? Why don't they amend the Taiwan Relations Act saying instead of every threat to Taiwan's safety and security is of grave concern to the United States, why don't they say, if Taiwan declares independence, we will send the 7th Fleet and help Taiwan? Why don't we open up the Taiwan Relations Act and make a 150% commitment to Taiwan? And I always say that that's not in U.S. interest. The United States will not commit to Taiwan that directly. The United States always talks about ambiguity. Say, maybe we will do this, strategic ambiguity. Let everybody guess. Try to make everybody happy and try to make everybody unhappy. Really, the United States will never commit to Taiwan. That's really, we should not focus on that. What? Okay, next slide. So this is the role of the United States. You get it? So there's the juggler who says all these plates spinning. There's the South Korea plate, Japan, Taiwan, Russia, Philippines. And they will make sure that no plate crashes on the ground. And the United States, the juggler, two people, will make sure no plate goes too fast. So that's the role of the United States for Taiwan. Also like to emphasize that the United States in the TRA treats Taiwan as an independent country. It says that with that many words, whereas the laws of the U.S. refer to foreign countries, so the U.S. treats Taiwan just like it treats all other countries. All the terms shall include such laws shall apply to Taiwan. So I don't think a lot of people realize that, but the TRA treats Taiwan as an independent country. Couple of quick things, since I only have 8 minutes left, Ken. Thank you. Where did the time go? Only 1:07. Huh? Oh. Couple of things we're working on now. Very exciting, I think. Okay, first go back to FAPA. 1994, we did the Taiwan birthplace. Remember that? So if you're Taiwanese American and you have Taiwan in your as country of birth in your American passport, thanks to FAPA. Second, in 2018, we did the Taiwan Travel Act. You heard about the Taiwan Travel Act yet? You know who wrote the Taiwan Travel Act? You. Yes. I tell people, if I die someday, on my gravestone it will say, here is Coen Blaauw, he wrote the Taiwan Travel Act. Somebody laughing. Huh? Oh yeah, and the Heritage Week, I did that too, yeah, Taiwanese American Heritage Week. Long story, but yeah, I told Ken that he can tell you someday. We hate the Republic of China, yes? Do we hate the Republic of China? Down with the Republic of China. I went to St. Kitts and Nevis with my wife. St. Kitts and Nevis has diplomatic relations with Taiwan. It's in the Caribbean. Every morning we went on our motor scooter, drove around the island, and there are these huge signs which says, this agricultural project was made possible by the gracious people of the Republic of China. So we got off our motor scooter, and we went to this guy who was working there in the field and said, what's going on? He said, yeah, this is great. China #1. And I said, no, Republic of China is Taiwan. People's Republic of China is China. And he said, no, look, it says China. So I am grateful for my ACOG and my Ivanka that they pay for these small, poor countries. But I cannot accept that China gets the credit. So we need to get rid of the Republic of China. And I can say it now because the TECRO ambassador is gone. But we also want to change the name of TECRO. It's a ridiculous name. Taipei Economic Cultural Representative Office. So we changed it to Taiwan Representative Office. And also, I feel, or what we're working on, that the American Institute in Taiwan director is the ambassador to Taiwan, right? Brent Christensen, he walks, talks, acts like an ambassador. Were it not for China saying to the rest of the world, no, that's not a country, it's a renegade province. Otherwise, he would be the ambassador. So we feel that the AIT director, American Institute in Taiwan director, should be confirmed by the Senate, just like any other ambassador. And even if his name only appears on the list of confirmees on the Senate floor, that would already be a big step up towards Taiwan becoming a normal, independent country. So AIT director, Taiwan representative office, and last one we did is we introduced a resolution 2 weeks ago. It's Steve Shabbat from Ohio, you know him, right? Which says the China's one China principle is ridiculous. Doesn't make sense at all. So Steve Shabbat introduced that resolution. And it's the first time that anybody ever challenges China's one China principle. Steve Shabbat, I think, is the #1 fan of Taiwan in Congress. His staff told me that if they're doing nothing in the office, the congressman walks by and says, so what are you doing? They say, working on Taiwan. And he says, oh great, keep it up. So anything we do for Taiwan, that is Steve Shabbat loves. Yeah. 2 more minutes, Ken, and I'm always optimistic about Taiwan's future. Rest assured that of that first map, the United States will never give up Taiwan. It's not going to happen. They cannot afford it. So we can fix Taiwan from the inside. Kind of a luxury position. There's a lot of us worry about, will China sell out? No, it's not going to happen. Will the United States sell out of Taiwan to China? It's never going to happen. So I'm always optimistic about Taiwan's future. But we have to work harder. Jody Williams, former Nobel Peace Prize winner, said, the world is ruled by people who show up. If you don't speak out yourself, somebody will do it for you. So we have to be more aggressive. I did a tour in speeches in Taiwan some years ago for colleges, universities. Wherever I went, at the end of my speech, somebody would say, hey, I know, kid would say, I know it's inevitable that Taiwan will be taken over by China. But they said, I hope it doesn't happen during my lifetime. And so that's the attitude of these young people in Taiwan today. And I said, if you care about something, and you don't do anything about it, you're not much better than somebody who doesn't give a shit. Can I say that, man? Yes. So you see what I'm point, right? If you care about something deeply, you want it to stay free, if you don't do anything about it, you're not better than somebody who doesn't care at all. And so, in conclusion, I love the people of Taiwan. You know, I've been with them for 30 years. I've worked out with more Taiwanese friends than Dutch friends or American friends. They're very generous. They love to eat. Every time I go to Taiwan, I gain 5 pounds. Every day, each day. 5 pounds per day. But, as we say in Washington, D.C., if you put 2 Jewish people in a room, you get 3 opinions. How about 2 Taiwanese people in a room? How many opinions? 4. So I want the people of Taiwan to be more like the Jewish people. Be more aggressive, be more angry, be more assertive. Talk to your friends, your neighbors. Contribute to FAPA, or FAPER, my organization. And so the problem I have with the people of Taiwan is that they're always, and maybe you heard me say it before, but they're always paiseh. That means like sorry or shy, right? So we cannot afford to be paiseh anymore. We have a great window of opportunity now with President Trump in the White House. People ask me, would Obama or Clinton, Hillary Clinton, sign the Taiwan Travel Act? No, I don't think so. Because they would have got all their State Department people, Defense people, going saying, what will China think? But for Trump, he doesn't care. I'm from Holland, as I said, and in Holland we have no Republicans, only Democrats. But I love President Trump because he's fantastic for Taiwan. So, yes, so let's work together, let's work harder, let's be more aggressive, assertive, contribute to FAPA, fill in petition letters, talk to your friends, neighbors, family, and you probably do that, but do it more and more often so that we can all know and realize that when Taiwan is a fully independent country, that we all work together to make it happen. So,